Now students, you just see that revision session 2. In revision session 1 we have completed chapter number 1 and 2. Now in this session we completed chapter number 6 and 11. Chapter number 6, Places of Indian Cultural Heritage, and it's an interesting chapter. We already know that we have learned also this chapter, because in this chapter we just visit the entire places, we can say that, not physically, orally. Understood? And chapter number 11, India Water Resources. You know that in India so many places are there to visit it. So many places are there, those who are included in World Heritage Site also, but we are not knowing about that, but we are not aware about that. So in this chapter we will talk about these places. Now in the first, that Ajanta Caves. Now just students, it may be asked for 2 marks or 3 marks. Now whenever it asks for 3 marks, at least 7 points we need to write. So we'll just see that or discuss about the Ajanta Caves. First of all, the Ajanta Caves is located in Aurangabad district of Maharashtra. You just see that I will write only topics, I will not write the detail of it, because it will time consuming, it will take too much time. So please listen to me carefully. Ajanta Caves, so I will just speak about the 7 points or 8 points. Okay. Now it is located in the Aurangabad district of Maharashtra, okay, in Ajanta village. Second thing is that Ajanta Caves are broadly divided into 2 categories. One is that wall paintings and based on sculpture. Now wall painting and sculpture, what are the difference between that? So in some of the caves we can find the wall paintings on the entire wall is painted with the different pictures, whereas sculpture in some of the caves you can find that they are sculpting something. It means they have drawn the monuments, or you can say some idols they have carved out. So these caves are divided into 2 categories. In that wall paintings, cave number 1, 2, 6, 10, 16 and 17. These are the cave number who have the best example of wall paintings. And the sculpture, so many caves are also there, those will be having the best example of sculpture. Apart from this, the main theme of this Ajanta cave is that Buddhist religion. Buddhist religion. Now, next one is that we can say that generally these caves are divided into 2 categories, and they are the Chaityas and Viharas. Now what is Chaityas and what is Viharas? That we need to understand. Generally we can say that Chaitya means the temple halls for Buddhist monks. Here temple halls for the Buddhist monks to use that place, where stupas are built in the interior most of the caves. Viharas means the Buddhist monasteries where the Buddhist monks were, you can say, taking rest, understood, or studying over there. So or residing over there. So Viharas means the place or the areas where the Buddhist monks studies, or their residential areas. Or Chaityas means temple hall, where we have discussed already that Chaityas and Viharas. In that cave number 9, 10, 19, 26 and 29, these cave number are included in the part of Chaityas, and remaining all are considered as the Viharas. Now students, you just see that these caves are forgotten with the time of passage, because we all have forgotten about this, because these caves are constructed during 1st or 2nd century maybe, or before that also. So these caves are forgotten by the people. But in 1819, with the help of English captain John Smith, he has rediscovered these caves. So here I have written 5 points. Apart from this location and speciality, there are 2 points. So total 7 points about the Ajanta caves. It may ask for 3 marks, you can easily write for that. If it is asked for 2 marks, you can write 5 points, not more than that. Now next one is that Ellora caves. Now students, Ellora caves also they may ask for 2 marks or 3 marks. It is also located same place where Ajanta caves, Ajanta and Ellora caves. There is a 2 group of caves, we can say. One more time, Aurangabad districts in Maharashtra. Now here the difference is that here the caves are divided in different groups. For example, 1 to 12 number caves is Buddhist caves. Then 13 to 29 Hindu caves. and 30 to 34 is called Jain caves. Now you know that you just see that these caves are examples of these caves are divided into three categories. In that Hindu caves are constructed during the Rashtrakuta dynasties during the you can say 600 to 1000 AD. During which dynasties? Rashtrakuta dynasties, the Hindu caves are constructed. After that, we can say that what is the main speciality of this Ellora caves is that Kailash temple. I will mention over here. Kailash temple, which is located in cave number 16. Which cave? Cave number 16, Kailash temple. Why? Because this cave is located in the cave. You just imagine that. But when I will give you the description of this temple, you cannot imagine also. For example, 50 meter long, 33 meter wide, and 30 meter high. You just see that this temple is too huge, but it is located in cave number 16. Apart from this entire temple is carved out from the single massive rock. Okay, so it is the important information about the Ellora caves. Now we turn towards the next cave. It is called Elephanta caves. I will write over here. It is impossible. Space is there. You can easily see that. Third number. It is called Elephanta caves. Now in Elephanta caves, generally these questions is asked for 2 marks or 3 marks. So only 5 points is required for that. First of all, Elephanta caves. So here the location is now different. It is not in, you can say, Aurangabad district of Maharashtra. It is located into the Arabian Sea. Arabian Sea. 12 kilometers away from Mumbai, Maharashtra. 12 kilometers away from Mumbai, Maharashtra. Total 7 caves are there in this Elephanta caves. First of all, there is a stone, huge monuments of elephants. Stone, huge monuments of elephants. So while Portuguese see these monuments, they gave the name that Elephanta caves. One more time, the speciality of Elephanta cave is that in cave number 1, there is a one temple. It is called Trimurti temple. Trimurti temple is located in the cave number 1. Here also we can say that this cave is forgotten, but in 1987, the UNESCO has declared these caves into the World Heritage Site, and it is the matter of proud for us because these caves is now coming into the category of World Heritage Site. Now after that, local fishermen call it Dharapuri. Local fishermen call it Dharapuri. So here I have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 points. So it may ask for 3 marks. Is it okay? You can easily write for that. Now here we have completed the 3 topics of the chapter number 6. Now we turn towards the other. Now student, I written the questions with the keywords. It means we can elaborate the sentences. Understood? The keywords you may have to turn towards the entire sentences. First one is Mahabalipuram. It may ask for 2 marks. Now here it is written location. It is located 60 km away from Chennai. It means from Chennai it is located 60 km away. Now this temple architectures and seashore. It means this city, Tamil Nadu, is known for temple architecture and seashore. Here mainly 7 chariot temples are there. In Mahabalipuram, 7 chariot temples. You know that, I think so, the meaning of chariot. Chariot means in Gujarati we can say Rath. 7 chariot temples are there. At present, only 5 temples is there because the 2 temples were submerged in the sea. That is why only 5 temples exist today. Now here the base temple is that, or base, you can say statue or monument is that Lord Vishnu in a smiling pose. That is the base thing or base architectural point of view is seen over there. Here one more is that beauty, we can say that the goddess Durga slaying the Mahishasur is also, you can say, seen, the natural scene of that. Even though the Mahabalipuram is well known in the as a harbor city, or you can say harbor in ancient times. So it is asked for 2 marks. Next question is that Patdakkal Memorial. It is also asked for 2 marks. Patdakkal, you can say Chalukya dynasty, 16 km away. It means this Patdakkal Memorial, it's belonging to the Chalukya dynasty, and it is located 16 km away from Badami Nagar. It is constructed in a Dravid style of art, and generally it will be constructed between 7th to 8th century. And here, what is the speciality of Patdakkal Memorial is that Virupaksha temple, or you can say Virupaksha is the biggest temples at the Patdakkal Memorial. Afterwards, that we can say that temples at Khajuraho. It may also ask for 2 marks. Generally, it may ask for 2 marks or 3 marks also, because Khajuraho is the ancient city also and temples also. So it is located in the Chhatarpur districts of Madhya Pradesh. MP means written Madhya Pradesh. I have written short. And it is the capital city of Chandela Rajputs of Bundelkhand. It is the main ancient city of Chandela Rajputs of Bundelkhand. Now here there are 2 temples was in Vaishnav as well as Jain temples were located in the Khajuraho. Next one is that 64 Yogini temple is the main temple or main attractions at Khajuraho. Entire this town, or you can say temples, were constructed with the white granite stone. And the last one is that the architectural style of this Khajuraho is Nagar style. You that we have seen, or we have visited, or we have learned the Dravid style of art. Now it is a new one, that Nagar style of art. Now we turn to last question of this Sun Temple of Konark. It may ask for 3 marks or 4 marks. It may be, because we have to write in, I think, 7 to 9 points. First of all, location of the Sun Temple of Konark. I will tell you, Sun Temple of Konark is one of the best temples in the world. It is well known throughout the world also. It is located in the Bay of, near the Bay of Bengal in Puri district, Odisha state. Now, it is constructed in 13th century, and it was constructed by King Narasimhavarman first, belonging to the Garg dynasty. And the most important thing is that the Sun Temple of Konark is a chariot temple. It means entire Rath type of constructions will be there. What is the speciality of that? This entire temple was carved out from the single massive stone. Here what happened? We can say that total 7 horses which drag the entire chariot. Okay, and they will be having the 12 massive wheels. Now you just see that the cleverness of that ancient people, why they have applied the 7 horses to drag the chariot, because 7 horses suggests that 7 days in a week, and 12 massive wheels suggests that 12 months in a year. Apart from this, the motive and subject diversity of this temple is unparalleled. It cannot be described in a words also, because that kind of grand architecture style of there. Afterward that, the entire temple is constructed with the black stone. That is why it is also known as Black Pagoda. Okay, in history it is known as a Black Pagoda. And the next one is that the reflection and the sculpture and civilization of the 13th century of Odisha is unparalleled. No one can compare of it. So it may ask for 3 marks or 4 marks. That is the Sun Temple of Konark. Now students, our next topic is Buddheshwar Temple. It may ask for only 2 marks. So generally like 4 to 5 points, not more than that. First of all, Buddheshwar Temple. It is located in Tanjore in Tamil Nadu district, and it was constructed between 1003 to 1010 AD. And this temple is a Shiva temple. That is actually also called Shiva temple. It was constructed by King Rajaraja I, so it is also called Rajrajeshwar temple. Apart from this, the speciality of this temple is that this temple is 500 feet high and 250 feet its width. Apart from this, it's a grand looking architectural styles surrounded in a vast areas, and the height and pinnacles, due to pinnacles and the heights, this temple is well known throughout the world. Now next question is that Qutub Minar. It may also ask for 2 or 3 marks. So here first of all, Qutub Minar was constructed by Qutbuddin Aibak. But between this, while the construction work is going on of Qutub Minar, the Qutbuddin Aibak was died, so remaining half work was completed by his son-in-law Iltutmish. So we can say that the work of the Qutub Minar is completed by Iltutmish. Now the construction work of Qutub Minar is constructed in such a way that total 72.5 feet height of the Qutub Minar, and at its base total 13.75, and its base, or you can say meter, at 13.75 meter at its base and 2.75 meters at its top. So the construction is such a way like that, or you can say that it's a huge tall skyscrapers constructed by Qutbuddin Aibak. Now during that day it was used for the azan to Muslim religions. After that this entire, you can say, construction was constructed by the red stone. Even red marble was used in the construction of the Qutub Minar. Apart from this, the verses of Quran was engraved on the some of the stones of this Qutub Minar. It is located in Delhi also. So many points that we have discussed. For example, location, the constructor means Qutbuddin Aibak and Iltutmish, the speciality of it. Apart from this, verses of Quran that is engraved on it. Red stone was used in the construction of that tallest skyscrapers in India. So these all points you can write for this 2 or 3 marks. After that, the question is Hampi. Now Hampi is a capital city, or you can say town also, the temples also. In a Hampi there are 2 brothers, Vijayaraj and Hariyaraj and Bukka. Afterwards we can say that in a Hampi the Krishnadev Rai was considered to be the golden period of that time. In a Hampi, the period of Krishnadev Rai was considered as a golden period. Apart from this, here the pillar construction was also well known. In that, or we can say that Vithala temple and Hazara temple is the most famous temples of it. Even the temples of Lord Krishna, Achyutai temple is also well known here in Hampi. After the Hampi, there is the Humayun's tomb. Now first of all, tomb means, you can say, cover. In Gujarati it is called cover. Now Humayun's tomb is the base specimens of Mughal architecture. After the death of Humayun, that his wife Queen Hamida Begum built the Humayun's tomb. And the Humayun's tomb, it is also the example of well-known architecture of Mughal Empire. It was constructed in Iranian style of art. Red stone is also used in the Humayun's tomb. Then after we will talk about Fort of Agra. Now Fort of Agra, here sometime must happen a students get confused. Why? Because here also red stone is used. That is why this is also called Red Fort. But generally Red Fort of India is located in Delhi. Understood? So it is known as Red Fort, but actually it is located in Agra. So don't be confused whenever it asks. Please give the details completely. Now Red Fort of Agra is located in Agra city in Uttar Pradesh. Then it made up of red stone, so it is also known as Red Fort. And it was built by Akbar. It's a different thing. It's built by Akbar, while that Red Fort is built by Shah Jahan, which is located in Delhi. This Red Fort, or you can say Fort of Agra, was built in 1565 AD. Now the speciality of this fort is that 70 feet tall wall with 1.5 mile circumference. 70 feet tall wall and 1.5 mile circumference. And most important thing is that in this, the Shahjahan has spent his last days in this fort of Agra. It is believed that Shahjahan has spent his last days of his life in the fort of Agra. Afterwards that, there is one huge question, that is Taj Mahal. Now student, it may ask for either 3 marks or 4 marks. It not ask for 2 marks. Please remember it carefully. First of all, we can say Taj Mahal is located in Agra in Uttar Pradesh on the river bank of Yamuna. We can say Taj Mahal is one of the 7 wonders of the world. Okay, first of all, location. We can say that. Then Taj Mahal is the seven wonders of the world. Then Taj Mahal was constructed by the Mughal king Shah Jahan. Now he was constructed that Taj Mahal in for his beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal. His wife or beloved died in 1630 AD. Mumtaz Mahal was died in 1630 AD. So the construction work of Taj Mahal was started in 1631 and completed in 1650. I think so, 2 or exact they have not mentioned, but we can say that 1653 AD also. So it will take at least 22 years to complete this. Now students, I have written the key points only. You can write in full sentence so it make the whole questions. After that we can say the rectangular part. The Taj Mahal is considered in construction in such a way that in rectangular portion from north to south, we can say. Apart from this, the beauty of Taj Mahal is not described in the words. Why? Because you know that beside of the Taj Mahal we can find the fountains as well as the gardens. All these things are. It is 4 minarets is there. 4 minarets in the 4 directions or 4 corners of the Taj Mahal. Apart from this, in Taj Mahal we can say that the grave of the Mumtaz lies in the center of the Taj Mahal, and it is in octagonal shapes. And the entire Taj Mahal was constructed with the white marble. Apart from this, the Taj Mahal was, you can say, one of the 7 wonders of the world, and no one can make this. That is why the Shah Jahan had spent lots of rupees in that also during that time. Even though we can say that one of the poem or you can say line is written or engraved on it, the pious hearts are welcome in the garden of paradise. The pious hearts are welcome in the garden of paradise. So it may ask for 3 or 4 marks. I have written 3, 6, 3, 9 or 2 I have discussed. It means to 11 point. 11 to 15 point is required for the Taj Mahal. Now next question is Red Fort. It may also ask for 3 or 4 marks. Now students, just see that it also constructed by Shah Jahan only. Now during the 1638 AD, Shah Jahan started the work of the Red Fort. Now the Red Fort is located in Delhi, so that is also one point that we can consider. Now in afterwards we can say he has made entire city and he has given the name Shahjahanabad. Shahjahanabad. In that Diwane Am and Diwane Khas, Diwane Am and Diwane Khas is the main. Apart from this, so many you can say monuments or palaces are there. For example, Rang Mahal, Mirror Palace, Mumtaz Mahal, Lahori Gate, Meena Bazar, Mughal Garden. These all are there. But one of the precious is that Diwane Khas, because the entire ceiling of the Diwane Khas is, you can say, studded with the gold and silver. That is why, and it is believed that the Shah Jahan take the meeting or meeting of the courtiers in that Diwane Khas. Apart from this, we can say that every year, during our national festivals, the national flag was hoisted on the Red Forts. You know that about this. So it is asked for 3 or 4 marks. Apart from this, last one, next question is that Fatehpur Sikri. It may be asked for 2 marks only. Okay, so 4 points required. Fatehpur Sikri is located 26 miles away from the Agra in Uttar Pradesh. This city is, you can say, established by Akbar in the remembrance, or you can say for his Sufi son Sheikh Salim Chishti. In Fatehpur Sikri, he made entire city. Okay, Akbar has made entire city. The construction work of Fatehpur Sikri was started in 1569 AD and completed in 1572. Now, the best examples of Fatehpur Sikri is that there are so many palaces are there in Fatehpur Sikri, but one of the best example is that Buland Darwaza. That is the speciality of Fatehpur Sikri, which is 41 meter wide and 50 meter long. that is the huge gate, that is called the Buland Darwaja. That is Buland means huge. Understood? Apart from this, Jyotish Mahal, Panch Mahal, then Diwan-e-Khas, Diwan-e-Am, Sheikh Salim Chisti's tomb. These are Jodhabai Palace. These are the one kind of palaces which are the specialties of Fatehpur Sikri. Now next one is that churches of Goa. Very simple is that Goa is well known for beaches and churches. Here in Goa, in old Goa, there are two churches: Basilica of Boom Jesus and Basilica of God Jesus. These are the two important churches located in Goa. Even the dead body of Saint Francis Xavier are kept in a coffin that is not decayed yet. Okay. Apart from this, that the Portuguese came here and to spread the missionaries, they make the center that Goa. Okay. Now we can say Goa is well known for beaches and churches. Only 2 marks, 4 points. After the churches of Goa, we'll take the exam. Next topic is that Champaner. Now Champaner is located near the Pavagadh, in the foothills of Pavagadh we can say, and Halol Taluka in Panchmahal. Muhammad Begda gave it the capital to this Champaner after getting the victory, and he gave the entire city and named it Muhammadabad. Now the Champaner is also included in World Heritage Site because it's an important monument and it is included into World Heritage Site. Afterwards that we'll talk about, up to here we have talked about the palaces of India. Now we'll talk about the places of cultural heritage of Gujarat. In that we'll talk about Dholavira, Lothal and Junagadh. Now you just see that Dholavira is an entire town painted with the white color. It is located near the Khadibet village in the Kutch and Bachau Taluka. Now the entire town was fortified. It means constructed a wall for the protection or security reasons. Lothal is Lothal is located in the between the Ahmedabad and Bhavnagar highways. Okay, it is 18 km away from Ahmedabad, Khambhat, Gulf of Khambhat. Lothal is also considered as one kind of precious port in that time. Dockyard facilities also available in the Lothal. After that, Junagadh. In the Junagadh, we can find that the stone inscriptions of Ashoka, even the well tomb of Muhammad Khan, tomb of Bahauddin Wazir's wow, or you can say some of the places. Afterwards, we can say Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is the historical city. So many places, for example, Seking Minarets, Sidi Sayyid Grills. Okay. Apart from this, the temples of Hadisi, tomb of Muhammad Khan. So many places are there in Ahmedabad. So that is why the Ahmedabad is also called as the historical city. Then after we talk about Patan. In Patan, there are 3 famous things is there. First one is that a tomb of Rani Ki Vav, Queen Staple, Rani Ki Vav, Mahalaya, Rudra Mahalaya, Sidhpur also, and Sahasraling Lake are watching places. In the Rani Ki Vav, it is declared in the 2004 in the UNESCO has declared this Rani Ki Vav into the World Heritage Site. So students, we have completed the entire chapter number 6. None of the topic is remain in this entire chapter. Now we will turn towards the chapter number 11. Now students, we will start chapter number 11, India Water Resources. It is the second chapter of our second revision session. Now, but before start the chapter, I will tell you that you have given the taste of this chapter. We have revised it. We have explained this chapter. So this chapter has done so many times, you can say. Understood? So we will not go through deeply in this chapter. We will just take a main points and write the few points or topic. We write the few topics and write the few points of it, so you can easily remember it. Understood? Here the first paragraph of the chapter we can say that importance of water. You know that the importance of water. Hence the water, only the life is possible. So many things. Water. We have given the explanation, or you can say proverbs of it. For example, Jal se to Jeevan se. Okay, so many things we have discussed in this chapter. Now, this is called the importance of water, because in our life, water is most important thing, as you know that. Because water is used in our daily routine also, domestic purpose also, in industry also, in irrigation also. So many things are. If we make the usage of water, so the list is too long. Understood? So now our first question of today's is that discuss or describe the sources of water. Sources of water. Now you just see students, sources of water means what? From where we are getting exact the water. Exactly we are getting the water from three sources. First one is that rain. Now rain is the original source of water. So it may be asked for MCQ also. Rain is the original source of water on the earth. Second one is that surface water. Surface water. Now surface water include that we can say that river, streams, lake, well, step well. These all things are that, but this all you can say sources are filled by the rain only. So in surface water, so many things are there, but here river is the original source of water. In surface water, don't be confused here. Rainwater is the original source of water on the earth, entire earth, but in surface water, river is the original source of water, or you can say main source. If instead of original, you can write the main source. And the third one is that groundwater. Now you just see students, groundwater from where? When the rain falls heavily, the water is absorbed or log onto the earth, and slowly and steadily the water is absorbed to the down strata. That is called the groundwater. Now groundwater is there, more portion into the north side, that will be having the 42%, but in south side the groundwater is in less portion, because in South India the land is porous, you can say porous, or you can say plateaus and mountainous regions are there. That is why the level of groundwater is too less in South India. So it is our first question of 2 marks or 3 marks that we have discussed. Okay, sources of water. Now our next question is that we can say about that water resources and uses. In that we have talked about the irrigation method. Water uses. In that irrigation. Okay, now in irrigations you know that water resources and uses. In that water resources and uses, now in that you know that we have talked about irrigation. First of all, I will talk the objective also. In irrigation, first of all, 84% of water is required, or you can say used in the irrigation purpose. And you know that if we want to produce or grow 1 kg wheat, so we require 1 kg wheat, we require 1500 liters of water. Okay, now irrigation method, you know that there are 2 ancient irrigation methods that is applied in our country. That is, the first one is that in 2nd century, Grand Anicut Canal. In 2nd century, Grand Anicut Canal was constructed across the Kaveri River, and in 1882 Eastern Yamuna Canal was constructed. So these are the 2 irrigation methods, or you can say 2 main irrigation supply of irrigations we will have. Now next one is that next topic is that mediums of irrigation. Mediums of irrigation. Now here students will have 3 mediums of irrigations. Okay, you remember, if you remember that we have talked about that 3 irrigations. 3 irrigations mediums are that wells and tube wells. First one is that wells and tube wells. Second one is canal, and third one is pond. Now out of these 3, the most one is that wells, tube wells and canals. Generally in South India the agriculture is done through the help of pond. That is 2 marks question is also there. Why in agriculture is done in South India with the help of pond? because we all know that land is non-porous, that is not available the water to go the downside. Even the groundwater is also less in the South India. That is why in South India the agriculture is done with the help of pond. After that, next topic is that multi-purpose project. Multi-purpose project. Now, multi-purpose, the answer is already there in the question only. Multi-purpose, it means the uses are one more, or we can say more. Okay. Now, we know that there are so many rivers in India which can flow, but the most important thing is that the river water will directly flow into the oceans or sea. But now if we stop that river water and that water should be used for the other purpose, that is called the multi-purpose project. It means the river the problem will be solved with the river valley. That is called the multi-purpose project. For example, that water generally it will be used for the, you can say, electricity, internal waterway, transportation, settlements, drinking, irrigation, entertainment, wildlife protection, then flood control, preservation of soil erosion, water for drinking. So many are the purpose of the water. So you can say it is multi-purpose project. Now our next question is that of 3 marks, it is most important and which is already provide you in the form of PDF. Okay, which are the multi-purpose projects on which river and the beneficiary state? For example, I will write here only 1 or 2 examples because you know about that. You will be having the worksheet also. First one is that Narmada, or it is constructed. You can say that Narmada or Sardar Sarovar project constructed on Narmada river. Beneficiary states are that Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Rajasthan. Same way, second one is Kosi project, a multi-purpose project constructed across the Kosi river. Beneficiary state is Bihar. So around 10 to 11 project we have discussed that you must have to be referred from the worksheet. Understood? Now next question is that water crisis. Next one is that water crisis. Generally here we can write that why the water crisis happen. The most important question is that first one is that due to overpopulation, due to urbanization. Next one is due to interested in the growth, you can say cash crop. So many reasons are there for the water crisis, and we know that we are very lucky to born into the Charota region. We get the sufficient amount of water, but so many places are there in the world that will be having the scarcity of water. For example, 8% of towns and 50% of villages are not getting the fresh potable water. Apart from this, that we can say western Rajasthan and interior southern Peninsula Plateau will be having the scarcity of water. So many problems arises if we are you can say drinking the dirty water, or you can say polluted water. Okay, so water crisis, first of all 3 points you need to write over here. Why the water crisis is emerged? Okay, so reasons we need to write. One, I have told you, I have given you that, for example, overpopulation. Second one is due to urbanization, migrations also we can say. Now third one is changing style of the people also is also considered. It means there are so many reasons behind of that. Now we'll move towards the next topic. But before that, why the water crisis is every year there would be a chances of drought in Gujarat, because you know that 2/3 area of India, you can say, still depend on agriculture, or still depend on rain. It means 2/3, you can say. Out of 3, 2 areas is totally dependable on rain for their agriculture. Okay, now what is the other method? We can say distribution of irrigation areas. So here we forget about one point, is that distribution of irrigation areas. It means in the different areas we will be having the different irrigation method. Understood? 7.8 I think so in Mizoram, and exactly 7.3 and 90.8 in Punjab. 7.3 and 90.8 in Punjab, and here Mizoram. If you remember that This Mizoram requires less water, rainwater, because they are totally dependable on rainwater. Here the irrigation facilities they are using in 7.3% only, whereas in Punjab 90.8. It means they are totally dependable on irrigation facilities. Now that we have discussed, apart from this, we can say watershed development. We also discuss what is watershed development. It means one tributary or one river that portion, or you can say many times what happens, the flow of the water is too high, or you can say too fast, so that water should be reached to the some areas, understood, and that area should, you can say, join with the another river. That is called watershed region. In this we can take out or you can say different activities also. Now next one is that rainwater harvesting. Now students, next topic is that rainwater harvesting. The method of rainwater harvesting is that to collect the rainwater in the form of, you can say, well, tubewells and khet talabis, okay, and to increase it and to save that water and use it for the other purpose. Now this is the main objectives of the rainwater harvesting. It may ask for 3 marks question. This question is that what are the main objectives of the rainwater harvesting? Where we can use the rainwater? So first one is that reduce the water pollution, first of all, because if water is lost, it may be chances that they should polluted, and then it will not use. Second is that improve the quality of water. It means groundwater, we can say. When the rainfall that goes down easily, okay, so it improves the quality of, you can say, already logged water. It means it should not be polluted. If it is polluted, it will make clean, or the quality is improved. Next one, to save the land roots from the water logging, we can say, water logging. But because you know that in the rainy season what happens, if the roots are you can say water is logged on the roots, so it may damage that roots, so it is easy that allow that water should be stored into the ground. Reduce the surface runoff water, okay, it means that whatever the rain will be having, that should not be easily, you can say, wasted. It should be stopped and it should be saved. Next one is fulfill the requirements of domestic water, and that is why for our domestic water, in the sense our daily use also, that water should be used in our daily purpose also. Fulfill the increasing demand of water. It means right now the population is increasing day by day, so the water demand is also increasing, but the supply of water is too less. So to make the balance between supply and demand, rainwater is useful. So that is why that purpose also we can save the or conserve the water. Next one is that underground tanks. To store the rainwater, it must have the underground tank should be applied. Now the last topic of this chapter is that water management. Which point should be considered for the water management? So here, use water economically in toilets, gardens and basins. Sometimes the people are wasting the water so many times, we see that, okay, so it should not be happen. Use water economically in these 3 areas generally. Public awareness should be created. Public must be aware about that water is an important part of our life. It must be a conserve or save. If possible, recycle the used water. Understood? What happens? Sometimes we are using the water and easily thrown out to our house. It should not be happen. That water should be used in another purpose also. So recycled water should be used for the different purpose. Wells, tubewells and khet talabis should be deepest. It means it should be deepest, so huge amount of water should be collected. If they are deepest, okay, so huge amount of water should be logged. Keep a watch on those units which are using the groundwater. Generally what happens, the industrial, or you can say owner of the industries or factories, they are, you can say, extract the groundwater from the tube wells, and unlimited, you can say, areas, that thing should be going on, and unlimited portion they are taken out from the outside, from the underground water. So please keep watch eye on those units, those who are using the groundwater. Next one is repair the damaged pipelines immediately to stop the water pollution, because it may chances that the people using, or you can say, drink that water and they should get a waterborne disease. So these are the, you can say, points or factors which remember for the water management. Now students, we have completed our second session. So chapter 1, 2, 6, 11 is completed. Now in revision video 3, we'll talk about chapter number 14 and 15. Thank you.